sun and moon project, we're going to have our page sideways. So we want the long way this way. And then you need to hunt down a circle to be the sun and the moon. And we'll put that about in the middle of the page. Using your pencil, trace that circle. After that, we're going to go ahead and divide up the face of our sun and moon. You can decide which you want on which side. Now, usually we think of the sun like a crescent, we think of the moon like a crescent moon. And so we would draw a semicircle like that. But to make this moon look like the faces of the moon, we're going to start by giving it a nose. So basically about halfway down, maybe a little lower, I'm going to add sort of a triangle shape to the side to be the nose. So we're looking at the profile of the moon. And I'll erase this part because that doesn't show. Next up, we need to do the eyes. Let's look closely at the eye. I'm going to zoom in for you. To start with, we're going to put the eye about in the middle here. And it's sort of an almond shape that we want to start with. And we're going to draw a nice big eye because this is a big sun character. After the almond shape, you need a circle inside that eye. That will be the colored part of the eye called the iris. Next, you need another circle. This will be the pupil. That will be perfectly black when we're done. And one more circle. We need an even smaller one tucked in here to be the shiny spot on the eye. We will leave that circle perfectly white. To start making this eye look a little bit more realistic, we're going to go ahead and give it its eyelid crease. When your eyes are open, there's a crease above your eye. Lastly, we want to give it some eyelashes. These should be curved lines. Usually you want your lines to curve away from, so if this is the nose, away from the nose, so pointing that direction. You can make them really curly or they could be straight, it's up to you. And they curl right over your eyelid crease. If you'd like to include an eyebrow, that's totally up to you. You could put in a fun eyebrow shape here as part of your sun's face, you decide, or you can skip that part. Now we've got to do the moon. He needs an eye too. Most students choose to make the moon's eye asleep. So instead of a full eye, we're going to do a closed lid, which is just a half circle like that. Let's give the moon some eyelashes too. We'll have them also curving away from the center of the picture. You may choose to do the full eye. If you want to do the eye, I'll draw it lightly for you to see. It would look like this. Same exact eye that you did over there, minus the lower lashes. So you could have two open eyes or you can have the moon asleep. I decided I want my moon to be asleep. Now, if you gave the sun an eyebrow, you might want to give your moon an eyebrow too, so that these faces sort of match up. Next step for your sun and moon drawing, we're going to move to the outside. Out here, we're going to include patterns. Let's divide this page in half first. So just the vertical line around the middle of your picture. On the sun side, we're going to give it sun rays. You may freehand this or use your ruler, but remember the center of your sun moon picture is about here. We're going to send our sun rays radiating out from that point. So don't get yourself caught up doing a bunch of lines in the same direction. It will look crooked after a while. They have to radiate away from that center point. So as you make your lines, double check that they're coming from that point. When you're done drawing your sun rays, you should have at least 8 sections. On the moon side of the face, instead of doing rays, we're going to do circles. So we're going to do more circles around the outside that go like this. You don't need to grab a bowl or anything to trace unless you want to. You can just freehand this. When I freehand a circle, I draw very lightly at first, and I move my hand a lot. I don't try to draw it in one attempt. and I erase out the things I don't like. Your moon circles will start going off the page. So as I get up here, I've only got a semicircle, just part of a circle. It doesn't show. The whole circle does not show. And I didn't like that, so I'm going to adjust it. We forgot to do the mouth. Let's go back to our sun's face and work on the mouth. The moon and the sun are going to share a mouth for this project, just like the whole thing looks like one face, but it's split in half. The same thing's going to happen with the mouth. So let's give it a mouth. You could give it a very simple smile, but I would like to see you add lips. To do the lips, we're going to use the center here where the moon and sun touch. That's going to be the middle of the mouth. So I'm going to have a peak that goes up and then back down to the corner. On the moon side, it's going to be a peak that goes up and back down to the corner. At the bottom here, we'll just do a curve all the way out to the corner. And that looks pretty good for the mouth. I'm happy with that. You can add extra details. Some people like to add little cheek smile lines. Optional, up to you. Some people like to add a little chin line, a little curve here to show where the chin is. I'm afraid on mine, I've got the moon coming over a little bit too much that looks off-centered and weird, so I'm going to skip it. If yours is more centered, you could go ahead and add that. And when you're happy with this, you can take a regular Sharpie or a skinny Sharpie, either one, and go over all your pencil lines. When you get to the center of that sun's eye, don't forget to color in just the pupil black and leave the white shiny spot. Be sure before you move on to the next parts of this assignment that you erase out any pencil lines that are showing. We're going to go ahead and watercolor our sun and moon to start with. You need to work in a color scheme for this assignment. The sun side needs to be all the warm colors on the color wheel. That's red, orange, and yellow. And the moon side needs to be all cool colors. That's your green, blue, and purple. Start by taking your watercolors and waking them up. So I'm going to put a drop of water in each color so that those colors can take a moment and resaturate. Otherwise, you won't get much color off of them. As you work, remember that colors need to dry before you can paint the section next to it. So you need to give it a minute or two between pieces before you start the next watercolor, or they'll bleed together. So for example, if I'm painting this sun right here, I'm going to skip the next one and move over here. If I painted the next one right away, the two colors would probably bleed together when they touch. So paint it, let it dry for a minute, and then I'll come back later and do that section. As you're painting along, I expect to see some color mixing. On the face, I want to see, on the main part of the face, I want to see at least two colors being mixed together. For example, as I start this sun, I'll start with yellow, and then I'm going to add some orange to it around the outside edge. I want to see more than one color. So I put a little water on the paper to help that paint move around. I'm going to paint some yellow on there. And then I'm going to grab that orange and I'm going to mix in a little orange around my outside edge of the sun's face. So I want to see more than one color as you work along painting the face sections. I am not as particular on the outer parts. You may have fun with that and decide what you want to do, if you want to mix colors or just go with one color in each section. I'll leave that up to you. Be very careful when you get into small spaces like the eye. We're going to work really carefully in that area. Always keep paper towels around. My lips, I started to paint them red and they hit the water on the face. So I'm going to use my paper towel and blot. Don't rub, just press it down and lift it up. Not a big deal. I'm gonna fix up my orange and yellow area, and I will wait a little bit longer before I add that red again. For your sun's eye, you may choose what color you want it to be. It's the one part on the side of the sun that I don't care what color it is. If you would like to make it green or blue, brown, or stick with red, orange, or yellow, you may choose your color. It doesn't matter. Your sun and moon, we're going to add patterns to all the parts outside. Grab your markers. You're going to use only cool colors for the side of the moon and warm colors for the side of the sun. Brown and pink count as warm colors. Add a different pattern to each sun ray and to each circle around the outside of the moon. You can use more than one color in a section, so have fun mixing it up.